Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Champions Mind MMA. Now, if you are a fan like me, if you're an MMA fan like me, a UFC fan like me, I'm sure you're still trying to digest everything that had happened at UFC 280. I mean, that event was built around so much anticipation. There were so many great fights, so many consequential fights, and packed in that one little card. We had, as I say, it was a high expectation event. Now it's over, and now we're all still trying to figure out what had happened, and where does every fighter go from here. Now I'll come back to you, every once in a while, to discuss, what had happened and where everybody go. What I think about everybody. I had already made a video to where I kind of played matchmaker, for some of the fighters, and now, but tonight I come with a question, with a big question. Do you guys think, or do you guys believe, or do you guys agree that Charles Olivera deserves a rematch against Islam Makhachev? You may or may not agree, but I still would love to, either whether you agree or not, I would appreciate if you guys go to the comment section after you finish watching the video and share with me why you agree or why you don't agree. Why you think he deserves a rematch or why you think he does not deserve a rematch. Now, there's one thing I should clarify. I'm not talking about an immediate rematch, because even before UFC 280 happened, they went the next guy to challenge for the title, or the opponent for either one of those guys, whoever would have won the fight, had already been picked. That was Alexander Volkanovski. He was the backup fighter, for those guys, and now he's gonna move up on weight. For those of you who may not have been watching MMA as closely, or who may not know who Alexander Volkanovski is, he is the UFC featherweight champion currently, and he's trying to do what only a handful of fighters, people like Conor McGregor, Amanda Nunes, Henry Cejudo, have done. It's like to try to capture two belts simultaneously. So he has pretty much cleared the 145-pound division, and now he's moving up in weight. He's trying to also add to his collection the 155-pound belt. So now he's going to fight Islam Makhachev, for the lightweight belt. Now this fight is already set, so there is not going to be an immediate rematch between Islam Makhachev, Charles Olivera, if there is ever going to be a rematch. But now the question is, does he deserve a rematch? Even if this is not gonna be his next fight. Let's say he may need to take another fight, but does he deserve a rematch? That's the question. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys what my opinion is, and this is just my opinion. You guys can share your opinion. And before I say anything, let me say to you guys that as an MMA fan, I've been watching MMA for a long time, been around this for a long time. So obviously, there are certain fighters that I may have some preference to. But when I come to talk to you guys and we're discussing those kind of things, I absolutely have no side. Okay, I'm completely neutral. I have no skin in the game, so I'm just only simply stating the facts. So I'm just giving my opinion and explaining why. So I said, so now I'm gonna say that Charles Olivera deserves a rematch, and I'm going to explain why. I believe so. Now, the reason I think Charles Olivera deserves a rematch, because we have to look at the landscape of the lightweight division. He has already cleared the top of the division. I mean, Charles Olivera has been fighting for a long time, but now he has already competed against every single guy on the top of the division: Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, and he already beat all those guys. So now, obviously, we all have to agree on one other thing, that those guys from Dagestan, the Habib Nurmagomedov, the Islam Makhachev, they're on another level with this whole sambo wrestling, whatever those guys are doing. Somebody has yet to figure out how to defeat their style. I mean, unless you go and learn their style and try to get better at it, you know. But as far as coming in and face them with something else, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's striking, whatever it is, so far they have been going unscathed. I mean, we now Habib Nurmagomedov went on his run until he decided to retire 29-0. And he said, and everybody around Islam Makhachev was saying, his father, I'm talking about Habib Nurmagomedov father, before he died, he said that Islam Makhachev would have become a champion. And I mean, their prediction, it was more than correct. He is currently now the champion. Just this past Saturday, defeated the man that we thought was pretty much invincible, at least in his last 10, 11, 12 fights. I mean, Charles Olivera. He beat everybody, but went into Islam Makhachev and he got finished. So we have to, we all have to respect, what those guys are doing over there. But put them aside, Charles Olivera is pretty much ahead of everybody. At least, from competition, from when he last competed with them, he's ahead of all of them. And because of that, I believe, like, if you're gonna give anybody else a title shot, I mean, why Charles Olivera wouldn't deserve one? Now, as I said in my previous video, if you go back and watch the previous video I made right after UFC 280, now I said Charles Oliveira should fight Beneil Dariush. Poor Beneil Dariush. He should be next in line for a title shot, guys. I mean, he's on a great, winning streak. I think like 8 or 9 or something like this right now. After he fought Matthias Gamrat. He's a great fighter, great skills, and everything. As a matter of fact, he was scheduled at some point to fight Islam Makhachev for the #1 contendership, and that fight never materialized. But now Islam Makhachev is the champion, and Volkanovski wants to move up in weight. Obviously, Volkanovski, with what he has done, with the featherweight division, I mean, it's hard to deny him, a title shot if he wants to move up. So they awarded him the title shot, and now Paul Beneil Dariush is kind of like standing in the middle of nowhere, So I saw him in the post-fight press conference and say, well, if I have to beat 12 guys, 10 guys, whatever, I love fighting, I'm going to keep doing that. But I want to remind Beneil Dariush of one thing. And I love Beneil Dariush. He's a great fighter. I know he's an intelligent guy, and I know he has intelligent people around him. One thing that we all have seen watching this game, anybody who's been watching this game for so long, every fighter has an expiration date. And as Habib Nurmagomedov, often says, nobody has 2 primes. There's gonna be one night you go in there and you're gone. You lose and you can't come back. And obviously, it's almost like there's no warning almost for it, right? For at least for some people, it's almost like there's no warning because it just bam happened. Obviously, also the age, when you're gonna hit that point is different for different people. I mean, we have fighters that are fighting very well in their 40s. Look at Glover Teixeira. He's about to fight for a title. He's about to fight for a title a title fight, and he is like, I believe, like 41 or 42. Okay, and in his last fight, defending the belt, he almost won the fight. So, but you also see fighters, who are much younger, early 30s, sometimes just 30, and sometimes some guys not even 30 yet, and pretty much you can feel like they're gone from their prime. And again, to repeat Habib Nurmagomedov, there is no two such things as 2 different primes. You're not gonna come back. So because of that, I think every fighter should try to do the best you can to take advantage of your prime. And I think Beneil Dariush is in his prime. He should try to do everything he can to take advantage of it. The reason I'm saying this, because watching this game for so long, obviously, it's not just your skills sometimes. I mean, sometimes your skills, but at times there are other factors. Sometimes it's a matter of how you approach, the whole game. I mean, obviously, sometimes you get to call your own shot. Let's just put it this way. I mean, there are certain guys, they win a fight and they stand there in the middle of the octagon and they call for the shot they want. I mean, you have people like Michael Chandler. I mean, when they talk, you can see, I mean, they have a way of trying to get what they want to get. And I love Beneil Dariush. I would love to see him in a title in a fight for the title. And obviously, I'm pretty sure most of those guys, fighting in the UFC, this is one of their biggest goal is to at some point win a title. So I would assume, that's pretty much, I would think that Benil Dariush wants also. And if you're on your prime, this is the time to call on, talk to Dana White, talk to everybody, and try to get there. And I think one short path for Benil Dariush is to ask for a fight against Islam Makhachev for the number one spot. I think he should go to the Now White, go to everybody and say, hey, look, I know Charles Oliveira just lost. I'm sorry if I say Islam Makhachev. I meant to say Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira just lost, but I mean, considering what he just had done in the division, I think he probably deserved a title shots and a rematch at some point. Why don't he and I, have a match for the number one spot? So that would be my advice. But again, so I definitely believe that Charles Oliveira, deserved, the title shot because again, let's say it, he beat everybody at the top. And also, even if you look at the fight the way it happened, one thing I think everybody kind of underestimated was Islam Makhachev's striking. I did, and I believe a lot of fighters and a lot of people in the in the MMA community underestimated him because we never kind of really saw his striking like that. But obviously we were wrong, and he did extremely well in the striking department. He beat Charles Oliveira in striking, and obviously also, even when he submitted, Charles Oliveira, you may say, well, I mean, he submitted Charles Oliveira, was supposed to be the submission guy, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, but the striking started it because he drops Charles Oliveira. That was a pretty, nasty punch. Charles Oliveira went down and he followed him on the ground. Obviously, when Charles Oliveira got dropped, by other fighters, they probably could have done the same thing that Islam Makhachev did, but those other fighters are not as confident as Islam Makhachev is on the ground. So they were too afraid of trying to play that game with Charles Oliveira on the ground. As a matter of fact, I think Mike Chandler, did try, and he almost, actually submitted Charles Oliveira too. So, I mean, when you get hurt, it doesn't matter what, level of skills you have, how good your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. I mean, if you hurt, you hurt. But at the end of the day, in a sense, and again, I'm not trying to, make excuses for Charles Oliveira, but if we look at the fight, we still don't know for sure if we had gone all 5 rounds, how good Charles Oliveira would do against Islam Makhachev on the ground. The only thing we saw, he took Charles Oliveira down one time, and Charles Oliveira was, right back up and push him, against the cage. And then at some point he tried to take Charles Oliveira down again, and he couldn't. So we still don't know, how well he would respond. So obviously, I'm sure Charles Oliveira's team and Charles Oliveira, just like everybody else, they probably slept on Islam Makhachev, striking abilities. And I'm not making excuses, but I'm sure if they would have to rematch Islam Makhachev, they're going to approach, the fight very differently. And I'm not saying that he will win, but again, I'm just saying he deserves a rematch just on the simple fact that he has beat everybody at the top. Because all those guys that would be fighting Islam Makhachev now are all guys that Charles Oliveira have already beat. At least if we're looking at the ranking, unless he's gonna go down and start fighting people in the top 10 or something like that. But if we're talking about all the guys in the top 5, he already beat everybody. So once again, guys, this is my opinion. I think Charles Oliveira deserve a rematch. I would love for you guys to go in the comment section, share your thoughts with me. Do you think he deserves a rematch, or do you think he does not deserve a rematch? And either way, share comments with me and tell me why you think he does or does not. And please, guys, please subscribe to the channel. I'll come back to you from time to time to share my thought with you, and also give you any other MMA news that I have. Until I see you again, guys. Peace out.